The RMS Titanic. Even after all these years, the name still makes people think of something amazing and sad. This British passenger ship, the biggest ship of its time, started its first trip in 1912. Everyone was amazed by how big and fancy it was. It wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of how clever people could be, how well they could build things, and how much they liked luxury. The Titanic was the best ship ever built, super fancy and luxurious. It had fancy rooms, big dining halls, a swimming pool, and even a gym. It was the best way to travel across the ocean. The ship quickly became famous for how clever people were and how things were getting better and better. But something terrible happened on the night of April 15th, 1912. A fancy trip across the Atlantic turned into a horrible accident. More than 1,500 people died, making it one of the worst shipwrecks ever. The Titanic wasn't just a shipwreck. It reminds us that life is precious. It's important to be prepared and that people are strong even when bad things happen. The Titanic wasn't just a ship. It was an amazing piece of engineering, a symbol of how clever people are and how much they want to make things better. It was built by Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Ireland, and it had all the newest technology. Its giant body was divided into 16 parts that were watertight, so it could handle a lot of damage. This clever design and its advanced safety features made people think it couldn't sink. The Titanic's special bottom and watertight parts were meant to stop flooding if it hit something. The people who built it, the engineers, and even regular people thought the Titanic was safe on the sea. The Titanic had the best equipment, strong engines, great communication systems, and a double bottom that ran almost the whole length of the ship. The designers were so sure it could handle anything that they said it was unsinkable, but sadly, they were wrong. The Titanic showed how ambitious and confident people were in the early 1900s. It was a time of amazing inventions, and the Titanic represented how much people believed in progress. Everyone thought it couldn't sink, and even though they were wrong, it shows how optimistic people were about technology back then. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic started its first trip from Southampton, England to New York City. It carried all sorts of people, from rich businessmen and famous people to immigrants looking for a better life in America. The first few days were normal. People had fancy dinners, listened to music, and enjoyed their trip. The weather was nice, the sea was calm, and the Titanic was moving fast. Everyone was having a good time, enjoying how fancy and big the ship was. First-class passengers had big meals, went to concerts and hung out in the elegant rooms. Second-class passengers had nice rooms and lots of things to do, while third-class passengers, many of whom were immigrants, were excited about their new life in America. Everyone was excited and looking forward to what was next. A little nervous about the trip, but also amazed by the ship. The Titanic wasn't just a way to get across the ocean. It was like a giant floating palace, a small world of its own, carrying everyone's dreams across the Atlantic. As the Titanic sailed west, the weather stayed nice and the sea was calm. The officers got a few warnings about ice from other ships, but that wasn't unusual for that time of year. The captain, Edward Smith, was a very experienced sailor, and he was sure he could steer the ship safely through the icy North Atlantic. But the calm weather wouldn't last, and soon things would turn very bad.